Many of us are familiar with the two-step approach to evangelism. Get an atheist to become a theist, and then get the theist to believe that the only God is Jesus. That's a fine approach. It happened to work for a lot of famous people, C.S. Lewis included. But I want to say to you that perhaps in our day and age, the goal is not to convert people from atheism to theism. The goal is not to say to an agnostic, why don't we start with the belief in God? You know why? Because the belief in God will raise all kinds of other questions. Well, why do I need a God? And why is there this? And how come there's that? And I want to say to you that actually what Paul does is he starts with Jesus. And if you start with Jesus and you say, this person who died on a Roman cross, whom God raised up on the third day, if the resurrection is real, work your way outwards from there. Don't start with your nebulous, generic view of God, whatever sort of deism or enlightenment view of some man in the sky, the dude upstairs, the old man, whatever it is, the kind of whatever general view of God, and then say, okay, let's argue our way towards Jesus. Listen, I'm not interested in converting people to general views of God. I'm not interested in people becoming theists. I'm interested in people confessing Jesus as the Lord of all. And Paul says, let's start with Jesus. If Jesus reveals what God is like, how does that change the game for you? How does that change your doubt for you? How does that change your questions for you? N.T. Wright, the famous, the brilliant New Testament scholar and historian of early Christian centuries, tells a story of being in a cab with a London cabbie on his way to a theology conference, and the cabbie says, hey, what are you on your way to, mate? I'm going to do a terrible version of this here, but it's just more fun if I try. And N.T. Wright, in his proper, Oxford BBC English, says, well, I'm on my way to a theology conference to talk about Jesus and the resurrection. And the cabbie says, well, I don't know about all of that, but isn't it true that if Jesus rose from the dead, then the rest is rock and roll? And N.T. Wright kind of sits back in the cab and he goes, yeah, basically. If Jesus rose from the dead, the rest is rock and roll. Like, look, you can work your way outwards from there, but you cannot have less than Jesus, the crucified and risen Lord of all. Start there. Start there.